Some of you may be wondering what the COVID-19 Delta variant is. I know we're hearing a lot about that in the media right now. It's very common for any virus to mutate over time and form new variants, and the COVID-19 virus is no different. In fact, since the beginning of COVID-19, there have been a number of variants that have developed. Some of them develop and never really take hold. Others develop and can become the predominant variant that's circulating in a region or across the world. For example, the variant that's been predominant in the US for a period of time has been the Alpha variant. That variant was initially identified in the United Kingdom. More recently, the Delta variant is the variant that's getting a lot of news, and that's because it does appear to be more contagious. The Delta variant was first seen in December 2020 in India and is quickly moving around the world. It's been the predominant variant in the UK now for several months, and as of July 7th of this year, it is now the predominant variant in the United States at 51%. Virginia is not quite at the predominant level with the Delta, but it is increasing week over week. The symptoms of the Delta variant are very similar to other variants of COVID-19. You'll typically have sore throat, headache, fever, runny nose, persistent cough. But one of the things that does appear different, at least based on the experience in the United Kingdom, is that the loss of taste and smell doesn't seem to be as common with the Delta variant. So that may be one of the main differentiation points when you're seeing symptoms from the Delta variant, but generally the symptoms are going to be very similar. The Delta variant does appear to be more contagious. There have been some recent studies that have come out of the UK that show that the Delta variant is between 35% and 60% more contagious than the Alpha variant. But of note is that the Alpha variant, it was also more contagious than the original COVID-19 that originated out of China in late 2019. The other thing that we know is that most of the cases that we're seeing today are being seen in those that are unvaccinated. And so that increased level of contagious and transmissibility combined with areas of low vaccination do put communities at risk. The COVID-19 vaccines that are approved in the US right now are highly effective and safe. Even against the Delta variant, we're still seeing very strong efficacy, although that efficacy is slightly less than we saw against prior variants. For example, the Pfizer vaccine, which is the vaccine that we have the most experience with because it is also used worldwide on a fairly large scale, including in the UK. What they're seeing out of the UK, as well as out of other countries such as Israel, is that it appears after 2 doses of the Pfizer vaccine and the 14-day waiting period after the second dose, that the vaccine is approximately 65% effective against mild to moderate disease, but remains more than 90% effective against severe disease, hospitalization, and death. So we're still seeing really, really good efficacy rates against the Delta vaccine, certainly much more efficacious even with the slight decrease than we see with the typical flu vaccine. While we don't have as much information with Moderna and Johnson & Johnson, they have done studies themselves, and it appears that both of those vaccines also maintain a high level of efficacy against the Delta variant. It's very important to get both doses of the COVID-19 vaccine for a couple of reasons. First, you don't see your full effectiveness of the COVID vaccines, at least the Moderna and the Pfizer, until 14 days after that second dose. Of course, the Johnson & Johnson is a single dose, and again, you see the full efficacy approximately 14 days after that single dose. But for the 2-dose regimens, even from the beginning with the original trials, we saw almost twice the efficacy after getting the second dose. What we're seeing with the Delta variant, at least with the Pfizer vaccine and based on the information that we have, a single dose is only resulting in about 33% efficacy against mild to moderate disease. It is still very effective against severe disease, hospitalization, and death, but getting the 2 doses will give you the maximum immunity against the Delta variant. We also know right now that those that are not vaccinated are really accounting for the majority of the deaths in the US. And so we want to make sure that people are as protected as they can be against COVID and specifically the Delta variant. In fact, in June of 2021, 99% of the deaths in the U.S. Happened in individuals who were not vaccinated. One of the things that we're hearing a lot about, and I'm sure many of you have questions, is what about a booster dose? We've been hearing for months that there may be the need for boosters. More recently, there's been some information out of Israel around booster doses and from some of the manufacturers. Booster doses are being studied really by all of the manufacturers as well as by the National Institute of Health. And there are many different strategies that are being looked at related to booster doses. At this point, based on feedback from the FDA earlier this week, it was determined that there's not enough information to really move forward with booster doses at this time. The FDA and the CDC are monitoring when immunity drops off from the original vaccination, as well as looking at breakthrough cases from the Delta variant. When they feel that those two items are becoming a concern is more than likely when they will approve a booster dose. I do know that Pfizer plans to submit information to the FDA for consideration of a booster. And one of the strategies we may see, although obviously we don't know what the final decision will be, is that it may be that initially booster doses are recommended for those that are considered most vulnerable to severe illness from COVID, such as the elderly, those that may be immunocompromised. There have been some studies that show that those that are immunocompromised may not mount as robust an immune response to vaccines, so they may be a very good candidate for getting a booster dose. That's the stance that Israel has taken at this point, and potentially other high-risk groups such as frontline healthcare workers. But I do believe that as we go through the rest of the summer, we will begin to see more of what the plan is going to be for booster doses. And as soon as those booster doses are available and there's more information, we'll make sure to share that with the community so that individuals can make good decisions about protecting themselves and their families.